What happened to Brad Keselowski? I mean, it's no secret that he's been just atrocious in 2025. And I get it. Yeah, he had a fast car at Kansas, but that is definitely the outlier for what the year has shown. We're a third of the way through the season, and he is basically on the level of somebody who should be maybe kicked out of a ride. 12 starts, no wins, no top fives, no top 10s, no laps led, a 27th place average. Now remember, this is not in the days of a 43 car field where you're still kind of mid-pack at 27th. With a 27.2 average finish, you are 27.2 out of 36 to usually 38 or 39 cars. It is not out of the question in any way. In fact, I think it is accurate to say that while he sits 32nd in the point standings, Brad Keselowski is a back-of-the-pack driver. He's not a mid-pack driver even at this point. And when you look at the broader scale of the last 4 seasons, he has been with RFK Racing for 4 years. It kind of spells out a little bit more of a story here. Brad Keselowski has not been stellar, I would even say, in the last 2 years when people have thought he's been so good. In 14 and 16 top 10 seasons, that's good, that's decent, but that's not the Brad Keselowski standard that I think a lot of us remember of years past. In his 3 1/3 years now with this team, he has made a grand total of 120 starts, and he has 1 win. 1 win at Darlington last year, which I think could be even questioned to say he may not have even been the guy who deserved to win that had the 2 leaders not taken each other out. He has suffered greatly being at RFK over time, and he especially did in 2022 when he came over to the team. But at that point, the team had went through a huge restructuring. It was not like this was the Roush Fenway Racing of old. This was a whole new status for this team. And it's similar to 2025, but nowhere near as bad. When you look at the average finish, that horrible 2022 season, he was 8 positions higher on average than he is so far this year. He led over 200 laps. He did get top 10s and a top 5 in that year. These things seem like there might have been the opportunity of maybe some of them happening at Kansas, but in general don't seem like they're on the horizon. And when you add to that too, that even at Penske, Brad Keselowski was slightly in a downturn in 2021. If you look at his statistics, it went down in pretty much every measurable way, and he didn't make the championship 4. But I think there are 2 big changes in 2022 especially that have made a bit of a downturn for Keselowski's career. The first one I don't think is nearly as much a reason as the second one, and that is going from Penske to RFK. Let's remember, Roush is not a Tier 1 team and really hasn't been since I'd say about 2012, when Matt Kenseth, Greg Biffle, and Carl Edwards were still doing a pretty good job there. There is a ceiling when you sit in a 6, 17, or 60 Ford. You are not going to be elite. You never will be, at least in the current power structure of Ford. So I think that's part of it too. Brad Keselowski probably maxed out going from 2023 into 2024. A 16 top 10 season in 2023, getting a win in 2024. But I think the change from the Gen 6 to the next gen also should be attributed to Brad's fall off as well over time when you look at his career. The next gen has changed the status quo, and drivers that were great with the Gen 6 have struggled ever since. Look at Kyle Busch. Look at Kevin Harvick. Look at Chase Elliott after the first half of 2022. None of these drivers are or were the same driver after we changed up the car in NASCAR. So there is that too. And then there is a big elephant in the room you have to look at: his age. Brad Keselowski is 41, and if he continues racing like we think he will into 2026, he will be 42 heading into the 2026 season. He is not getting any younger, and while drivers in their early and mid-40s can excel historically in NASCAR, this is far from guaranteed. And my point of it too is that even if the age isn't the factor, it soon is going to be a factor. Because 2 or 3 years from now, Brad Keselowski, I don't even think will be the same kind of driver he is now. And if there is a turnaround, if he is to compete for a playoff spot, not off of just a fluke win, but off of actual points positioning, off of actually running well, well, then Brad Keselowski does not have much time to turn it around. If age isn't currently a factor, which I personally think it is, I think that he may have 1 or 2 years left before you see him fall completely off a cliff talent-wise. It happens to everybody, no matter how good, no matter how accomplished. And the thing is, he hasn't had any consistency. Not now, and honestly, the last 2 years, not really before when you look at it. For instance, he has not had more than 3 top 10s in a row since the middle of 2023, when he had 5 in a row. When you look at last year and you think, well, he had 9 top 5s and 14 top 10s. Well, half of those top 10s came in an 11-race span. That is not really going to be indicative of success when 7 top 10s come in the other 24 races. If you were to extrapolate that 2/3 of the season over an entire season, you're looking at maybe a 10 top 10 season, which will get you at best maybe 15th in the points overall. That's not enough to cut it. And this year has only continued his downward trend at the end of last season when it was clear he was starting to fall off throughout the playoffs and had lost a ton of speed and a ton of pace overall in every aspect. So far this year, of course, with no top 10s, he's only had 2 top 15 finishes, and 9 of his finishes in 12 races have been 26th or worse. Now, some may say, hey, maybe he just needs to get back and ascend up to the mean. And I get that, because I do think even if he's starting to fall off, he's underperforming for those standards. But the thing is, he suffered in all performance aspects, according to Auto Racing Analytics. I looked up on a lot of his statistics, and some of the stuff in his 9 major data point categories showed that Brad Keselowski is really only good at one thing right now, and that is defending. And that is an important aspect nowadays with the next gen, with how important it is to control the air. But everything else, from speed and restarts, the amazing ability of Keselowski to crash continuously, as well as even slow pit stops, is noticeably bad, even for RFK Racing standards. If he's not able to perform speed-wise on the track, if he's not able to make up spots on restarts, if he's continuously crashing whenever he does do well or not, and when the pit stops are starting to be a detriment as well, when everything is bad like that, how is Brad supposed to succeed? There's slow cars, the driver isn't responding, and the pit crew is not supporting him in any way. So I think that maybe he's not as bad as 32nd in points and a 27th place average finish, but can we even argue that he is a middle-of-the-pack guy still, even if half of those things are turned around? I really don't think so. Because even if he has good pit stops, if the restarts are bad, he's not going to be able to continue to stay up wherever those stops get him. If his restarts are good, but the pit stops are bad, he's just making up the ground every single restart that he had to make up because of the bad pit stops. If he's crashing all the time, well, then he's going to keep having these bad finishes. And honestly, none of that matters if the speed isn't there. Because if the speed's not there, you're not going to have good restarts. You're not going to have really that much when it comes to pace getting up through the field. And defending won't matter because you're basically going to be defending Cody Ware off. To me, and I hate saying this, and I try to stay reasonable with these predictions and at least try to give the benefit of the doubt, but I'm going to be honest. From the cars to the team to the driver himself, I really think this is the beginning of the end for Brad Keselowski. I think it's been written on the wall for a little while now with the inconsistency that is not of his pace. But right now, Brad is just a back-of-the-pack driver. And other than this past week at Kansas, would you really notice him out on the racetrack when it seems like on pace outside of an outlier here or there, the best he can run is 11th to 15th on a good day? I don't know. So I'm going to pass it on to you. Do you think Keselowski is getting to the end of his career, or do you think he'll have a bounce back? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like in this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support, and until next time, have a good one.